Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Mai Demizu.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week, we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
And these are our topics for today. As always, we have some interesting stories to share with you, so stay with us. So let's get started. First up is Executive Insight. Well, Utsuda-san, what's our topic today?
Yes, today we'll be speaking with an internationally renowned pastry maker, Hironobu Tsujiguchi.
Well, I understand he has come up with some hugely successful products and considered one of the people behind the sweets boom in Japan.
Yes, that's right. And today we've brought in some of his creations. Just to introduce them to you. This is one of his most famous, which is called C'est la vie, and took the top prize at a competition in France in 1996. And the other one is called Mont Saint Clair, which is also the name of his shop. And Mont Saint Clair is a small mountain in the south of France that Mr. Tsujiguchi visited when he was young, and where he decided to pursue his dream of opening a pastry shop.
Well, no wonder. It kind of looks like a mountain or a hill.
It does, doesn't it? Yes. And when he was 23 years old, Mr. Tsujiguchi became the youngest winner of a nationwide pastry competition. And since then, he's won numerous prizes in Japan and abroad.
Also, I heard that last year his chocolate creation won the top rating at a competition in France.
Yes, that's right, at the Salon du Chocolat, which is one of the biggest chocolate competitions. And including Mont Saint Clair, he now oversees 12 different shop brands.
Yeah, many. Well, cake rolls, chocolate, and Japanese pastry shop. It's quite a big range.
It really is. And he also has partnerships with various companies to develop new products, and even has a tea farm in Vietnam in his name. And so he's become obviously more than just a pastry maker, and is quite active internationally.
So he's sort of recognized for his business sense as well.
Yes, you could say that. And so today we speak with Mr. Tsujiguchi about his role as pastry chef and manager. Take a look.
Executive Insight. Last November, a Japanese pastry chef received a 5-star top rating for his chocolate creation at an international competition held in Paris, France. Confectionery shop owner Hironobu Tsujiguchi.
I'm overjoyed that I could demonstrate the level of Japanese pastry chefs.
Praised by one of the judges as a national treasure of Japan, Mr. Tsujiguchi has won numerous competitions in the past and is considered one of the top pastry chefs in the world. His shop in Japan is wildly popular, with customers lining up before opening. Mr. Tsujiguchi says he constantly focuses on creating one-of-a-kind products.
I want to do things that no one else does. I have to continue trying because that is what customers want. If I keep making the same products, they'll get bored. I'll get bored.
What do his customers think?
The attention to detail is a big draw. The cream is so light, yet deep and delicious. The custard cream was especially good.
Mr. Tsujiguchi's path to pastries began with an incident at a birthday party in the 3rd grade.
The cake that came out was a sponge cake with fresh cream and strawberries. The minute I had some, it melted in my mouth, and I was so moved by how delicious it was. When I finished, I even licked the cream off the plate. I felt I wanted to bake cakes like this and make people happy. I wanted to become a craftsman who could move people. That was how I started on the path as a pastry chef.
That was the start of everything.
Yes, and that's why my friends demand I give them 5% of my sales.
Mr. Tsujiguchi won his first competition at 23. Since then, He has entered numerous tournaments in Japan and abroad. In 1997, he took the top prize at an event considered the World Cup of Pastry Chefs and received international recognition.
You've won many prizes, but was it something you focused on to build a successful business?
I had no money, no connections. The only thing I could do was to demonstrate my skill. I believe that I had to practice harder than anyone. I had to acquire a higher level of skill than others to survive in this age. The only way to prove that I had better skills was to enter competitions. I kept challenging myself in these contests to prove my value to people in Japan and abroad.
There was one strategy that Mr. Tsujiguchi constantly followed to win the competitions.
The reason why I was able to win competitions over and over again was, in a sense, marketing. I researched who would be judging the contest. I didn't come up with pastries for my own self-satisfaction. I listened to what judges said before, and in the process of creating a piece, I would make something just right so that I could win.
While constantly busy as a pastry chef, he is now also demonstrating his acumen as a business manager, running 12 shop brands in Japan and abroad.
In addition to improving your skills as a pastry chef, you now also have to manage shops and market your products. So when confronted by the difficulties of expanding a business, where do you look for inspiration?
Through competitions, I've learned about various textures and the various ways taste spreads in the mouth. I feel that knowledge has kept up with the times.
So you've reached a stage where what you believe is good and will sell is likely to be accepted by your customers.
That's right.
By entering competitions around the world, he says he's sharpened his sense of what cakes will sell and what kind of shops will attract customers. In recent years, he has received numerous requests from pastry makers in Japan and abroad to collaborate on products.
I get offers from overseas almost every day. But personally, I want to first build a foundation in Japan. Japan is the toughest market globally. People are very discerning, and the competition is intense. It's by reaching the top in Japan that you can get work from overseas. You can't go abroad without focusing on how to raise the quality in Japan.
Companies are constantly knocking on his door asking him to create hit products. On this day, officials from one such company arrive with a request to create an ice cream product to be sold in a convenience store.
Will 120 grams be enough?
The amount, taste, and even texture are left in his hands.
The more air we add inside, the lower the cost. But for ice cream that has a long shelf life, it's better to keep the air content down so that the taste isn't affected, even after a long time. A product becomes a hit because customers want to eat it. Simply putting my signature on it won't work. They might buy it once, but if they don't buy it again, it's like the tail wagging the dog. The most important thing is to give customers a product that meets their needs.
There's one thing that Mr. Tsujiguchi is mindful of when collaborating on a product.
When producing something for a nationwide maker, If I come up with something that goes way beyond what the average consumer thinks is good, then I'll end up betraying them. I'll give them a taste that's half a step beyond. They'll eventually realize that the taste has changed quite drastically compared to a decade ago. But keeping within that half-step line is the secret to a product that sells.
Mr. Tsujiguchi says that is the secret to hit products. Recently, he began a new project, developing healthy confectionaries. Central to that effort is a new facility called Aqua Ignis that fuses food and farming. It receives 1 million visitors every year. This is where Mr. Tsujiguchi grows a certain ingredient used in pastries baked at the shop.
You focus on farming at the facility, so what are you planning for the future?
Basically, I believe a healthy diet equals a healthy body. The ideal is to become healthy as you eat. I want to make confectionaries that even diabetics can eat, that are tasty as well. I think it'll become even more important to create pastries that people with various ailments can also enjoy.
He has also developed a chocolate product together with the medical department of a university. It contains theanine, which is found in tea and is said to have relaxing effects.
In terms of apparel, it's like making the textile. It's about the foundation. In order to make a brand even better, you have to figure out how to structure the textile. Cacao beans are the same. I've visited many growing regions, but I feel I will eventually have to set up my own farm.
3 years ago, he opened a pesticide-free tea farm in Vietnam. To ensure the ingredients he uses are safe, he decided to start by tilling his own farm.
Do you personally oversee the tea farm in Vietnam?
Yes, you can't compare the taste of tea that hasn't been sprayed with pesticides, that was raised by the blessings of nature. We handpick the first crop, the Vietnamese farmers. Using ingredients like that to make confectionaries will become increasingly important.
While he is always thinking of the next step, Mr. Tsujiguchi has not forgotten that he is a pastry chef first and foremost.
What do you think you'll be doing 10 or 20 years from now?
Maybe a professor of confectionaries. I wouldn't be who I am without confectionaries. Doing what you love is the healthiest way to live. A healthy diet equals a healthy body. That's the true meaning.
Mr. Tsujiguchi has even set up a pastry school to nurture the next generation of chefs.
What made you decide to set up this school?
My aim was to train people who want to make pastries as a business and are seeking out strategies. We want to provide technical analysis on what pastry chefs around the world are doing as part of their training. By developing the next generation, I want to breathe new life into the industry.
Through his efforts, Japanese pastry chefs are now going global. But can they satisfy the sweet tooth of consumers around the world?
Hey, look at this! They're building a huge steel plant with Kobelco technology.
Kobelco? Never heard of it.
It's Japanese. They can make iron with incredible speed. What once took 8 hours can be done in just 10 minutes.
Wow, the Japanese are incredible. The country of karate.
Ha! 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 Karate has nothing to do with it.
True.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
Trading card games transcend generations as well as borders. Trading card games will unite the world. However, the possibilities do not simply end there. Trading card games combine the different forms of entertainment, and fun will link the world as one. Bushiroad.
Because we believe cities are about people. Mori Building.
SMBC, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation.
Together, let's generate happiness. Let's raise the world to new heights. Let's carry our dreams further. At the heart of society, Toshiba Technology. For a growing future, Toshiba. Together, let's create better healthcare. Let's develop a sustainable environment. Let's give children a promising tomorrow. At the heart of society, Toshiba Technology. For a growing future, Toshiba.
You're watching Channel Japan. Otsuda-san, what topic will we be covering today?
Yes, this time we'll be looking into measures to fight infectious diseases, which is considered a serious threat to countries throughout Asia.
Well, we all know about the SARS in 2003, which was especially severe in Asia, as well as bird flu in 2011.
That's true, that recently comes to mind. Now, these are considered the top 3 infectious diseases around the world. HIV/AIDS, which is a relatively recent disease, and tuberculosis, also known as TB, and malaria, which are called re-emerging infectious diseases, as they were once believed to be on the verge of being eradicated but have started spreading again.
I understand the spread of infectious disease not only threatens lives but can also cause various other problems.
Yes, that's true. Because of their rapid transmission plus the measures to prevent outbreaks, infectious diseases can result in massive financial costs, and they're not a problem that can be solved by any single country, and as the effects are global, international cooperation is critical. And this time we attended a conference on this issue that was held in Okinawa in southern Japan.
Okinawa, why was the conference held there?
Well, actually, there's a pretty good reason. Okinawa is within 4 hours flying distance. We have a map over here. It's within 4 hours flying distance from Tokyo, as well as major cities throughout Asia. And taking advantage of its geographical location, the local government has launched efforts related to this issue.
So many companies are looking at Okinawa for because of its location.
Well, yes, that seems to be the case, because first there's tourism. Okinawa has has been actively courting tourists, especially from the Asian region, marketing its tropical weather and resorts. And another reason is its logistics. Commercial airlines such as All Nippon Airways and Yamato Transport have launched delivery services of fresh foods from Naha Airport to major Asian cities.
Well, so Okinawa is hoping to become an Asian hub, but with increased traffic of people and goods, the risk of infectious diseases also become higher.
That's exactly the case. And for example, there have been cases of influenza outbreaks in other parts of Asia that have spread across Japan by way of tourists traveling through Okinawa.
Well, with economic throughout the region developing rapidly and growing exchanges between countries, the issue of this infectious disease is something that we have to tackle together.
That's right. And Okinawa is now aiming to play a central role in infectious diseases prevention in Asia. And to learn more about their efforts, we attended a conference on the topic that was organized by Nikkei in Okinawa. So take a look.
The Project Japan. Okinawa, an island 1,500 kilometers southwest from Tokyo. With a pristine natural environment and tropical climate, it is home to numerous rare species of animals and plants. As part of the Ryukyu Kingdom between the 15th and 19th centuries, Okinawa flourished as a key transit point for trade across the East China Sea. Now, with the development of air transportation, it is within 4 hours flying distance from major cities in East Asia. Taking advantage of its central location and proximity to the rest of Asia, the island has been expanding its international logistics network.
The idea is to drastically improve our speed. First, we're going to realize next-day deliveries to Hong Kong.
Major delivery service company Yamato Transport and ANA have established a logistics network with Okinawa Airport as the hub. Fresh foods produced throughout Japan are distributed internationally under their refrigerated delivery service, with orders reaching the dinner table the next day. Okinawa is aiming to become a major hub in the Asian region. Vice Governor Yoshihisa Kawakami explains the island strategy.
All regions of Japan are starting to look at Okinawa as a cargo hub. We want to become a point of transit where various goods converge. Our hope is that this flow of goods will become established in Okinawa and lead to the development of the local logistics industry.
The Makishi Public Market in Naha City. Offering various local fish and meats, it is known as the kitchen of Okinawans.
Pork isn't as available as it used to be in Okinawa. It seems a lot is being exported to China, Hong Kong, and Southeast Asia.
Exports of Okinawan pork and beef are growing. They say there is especially strong demand from consumers in Hong Kong. As a hub, Okinawa has the potential to reach out to markets with a combined population of over 2 billion.
Since initiating this cargo hub strategy, tourist numbers have also increased almost in tandem. We're promoting Okinawan products in places where we've set up cargo hubs and are also promoting local tourism at the same time. Our strategy is to increase the flow of people and goods simultaneously.
Touting the warm temperatures year-round, local government offices have been encouraging professional baseball and soccer teams to set up training camps in the region. The economic effect of those efforts is said to reach $80 million. What's more, Okinawa attracts 5.7 million domestic and international tourists annually. Tourists from Hong Kong pose for a picture. They are here to hold a wedding ceremony. The wedding industry has also been aggressively courting overseas customers.
Last year, 9,118 couples held weddings here. 477 couples were from abroad. We're aiming to service 20,000 couples from Japan and overseas by 2020.
Countries across Asia are undergoing rapid economic growth, which is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. But expanding the flow of people and goods also raises the risk of cross-border transmission of communicable diseases. As a logistics hub and resort area for tourists across Asia, Okinawa faces a constant threat from communicable diseases. An authority on fighting such outbreaks is based in Okinawa. Professor Jiro Fujita of the University of the Ryukyus.
Globally, the top 3 communicable diseases are HIV/AIDS, malaria, and also tuberculosis. Influenza epidemics happen everywhere, but influenza in Okinawa is extremely unique. An epidemic can start from Okinawa and spread across Japan, or it may continue throughout the year. The patterns are extremely atypical. An especially big point is that Okinawa is in a tropical zone and open to traffic from Southeast Asia. There's a possibility that various communicable diseases enter Japan through Okinawa. This is very significant.
Okinawa, with the constant threat it faces and the extensive research being carried out locally, recently hosted the Nikkei Asian Conference on Communicable Diseases. The objective was to reach a common understanding about the importance of preventative measures and to set up a cross-border network to deal with epidemics. Gathered were domestic and overseas research institutes, governments, pharmaceutical makers, and people on the front lines of the effort. There was also strong interest from countries across Asia.
These valuable supports has been both technical and financial sectors via activities to enhance our capacity to monitor disease outbreaks, to construct BSL-3 laboratories.
The conference was held for 2 days. During the first panel discussion, participants exchanged views about the countless lives of children lost to communicable diseases. A report was given by a medical officer of the World Health Organization, Nahoko Shindo.
And the global causes of child death under a child under 5 years of old. Here you can see many infectious diseases are causing death, pneumonia, other infections, meningitis, pertussis, AIDS, malaria, TB, and sepsis, diarrhea. So altogether, infectious disease can cause about 1/3 of the 4th of child death.
Countries in Asia are also dealing with the issue, and the situation varies across the region. Representatives of each country provided information about local conditions.
In Thailand, besides malaria, the most concerned vector-borne disease is dengue. Dengue has been spreading in the country for over 50 years, and it is now endemic countrywide, with large outbreaks every 2 to 3 years.
In even in Papua, near the Papua New Guinea, some people are still live in the very close condition because of more than 70% of the infectious diseases are coming from animals, and we have to learn much about this because animal is very close also to the human.
Nahoko Shindo, the WHO medical officer who participated in the discussion, emphasized the urgency and importance of preventative measures.
We know that the spread of communicable diseases can be explosive. We also know that a new disease can occur at any place and any time. The international community needs to recognize that communicable diseases are a major social issue.
In Japan, hand washing and gargling are widely practiced to prevent common colds. These habits took root among the population as part of health guidelines established decades ago. H1N1, a new pandemic influenza virus, was first identified in Mexico in April 2009. In just 1 month, over 10,000 people were infected. The rapid spread shook the world. Japan is said to be one of the few countries that succeeded in minimizing the casualties. The reason?
At that time in Japan, the number of deaths from the virus was less than 200. People in Japan got various information before the pandemic occurred, such as how to prevent an infected family member from spreading the virus and what actions to take. A massive medical system was established just 5 to 10 years after 1945, and it has remained firmly in place ever since. I believe that is a big factor in our ability to respond.
Japan is also actively developing new anti-influenza drugs. This is the Institute of Biological Resources in Nago. The director is Kuniaki Nerome, a leading authority on virology and formerly the head of the National Institute of Health's Influenza and Respiratory Viruses Center.
My aim is to use a computer to design the DNA to make an artificial vaccine. Because I don't use any live material, there's absolutely no danger. Also, it typically takes about 2 years to develop a vaccine, but with artificial DNA, it's possible to do that easily in about 3 months.
At the conference, Mr. Nerome highlighted the possibilities and effectiveness of artificial vaccines.
My idea is to use silkworms to mass-produce DNA vaccines. The DNA to be used to develop the vaccine will be that of viruses. Combining the genetic code of silkworms, I was able to develop an unprecedented DNA design. We found that an unbelievably large amount of vaccine could be made by a pupa. We were the first in the world to succeed in making an extremely low-cost and high-quality vaccine.
In addition to new and re-emerging communicable diseases, there have also appeared infections resistant to antibiotics. Japanese pharmaceutical makers are continuing to carry out research into communicable diseases and working to develop new drugs. Toyama Chemical reported on their research in this area. A drug called T705 that they hope will be effective against influenza.
This is the structure of the chemical compound of T705. It has been confirmed in animals to exert extremely strong antiviral activity and to be highly effective.
Medical institutions also have high hopes for new drug development.
T705 is said to be effective against H7N9, which is Tamiflu resistant. For Okinawa, I believe it is an extremely important medicine.
Tuberculosis, which is one of the top 3 communicable diseases, affects a third of the global population, with 8.6 million new patients every year and 1.3 million deaths annually.
People are moving from developing to industrialized countries, and tuberculosis is moving together with them. This has affected the falling morbidity rate in industrialized countries. Some countries face the problem of it actually increasing again.
Otsuka Pharmaceutical of Japan, a mid-sized drug maker, has been researching tuberculosis for over 30 years and working on the development of new medicines.
The European Medicines Agency has recommended approval of our new anti-tuberculosis drug, Delamanid. We've newly created about 14,000 compounds.
The 2 days of discussions come to a close. The participants discuss the statement to be issued by the conference.
I would like you to focus on whether the discussions were correct in essence and technically.
We need to point out problems regarding the population in Asia, economic development, and the movement of people and goods originating in the region.
We need a vision for all of Asia. All Asia. You're absolutely right.
Exchanges of human resources. I think that we should also add, before exchange, the development or strengthening and exchanges.
I want to make Okinawa the base for communicable disease prevention. We need to put down the specifics. For Okinawa, we would like to be the research center for Asia. We'll make an effort to become the center. Are you okay with that? Thank you.
A message from Okinawa to Asia and the world is completed.
Typically, a statement is issued after a conference and it's over. This time, everyone decided that they don't want this to be provisional and that we want to continue with this work. I think it's a good thing.
Okinawa is at the front lines of this major issue. Biotechnology ventures from outside the prefecture are converging on the island. At the Okinawa Life Science Research Center, 5 companies are carrying out various projects.
The companies housed here are doing research using materials indigenous to Okinawa and developing products by taking advantage of the local climate.
One of those companies is OP Biofactory, which uses biological resources collected from waters around Okinawa to develop new drugs.
Here we're cultivating bacteria collected from the sea. This is bacteria called actinomycete. We cultivate them to extract what may be beneficial for the human body. The ocean contains organisms you won't find on land, as well as bacteria. We felt that we could collect new types of compounds from them. That's why we began research specializing in the sea.
And this company has been working together with the local government to analyze and research communicable diseases in Okinawa.
Influenza spreads in Okinawa in the summer. We suspect that it's related to epidemics in the rest of Japan the following year. We've analyzed epidemics in the summer, and because there's a half-year lag, we can warn authorities on the mainland. In that sense, by carrying out this type of genome analysis, we can conduct a pilot study for the rest of Japan. That's the contribution Okinawa can make.
Tourism, logistics, and now a hub for communicable diseases research. Okinawa is redefining its role in Japan, Asia, and beyond.
Welcome to Tokyo Skytree. This is the grand panoramic view from 450 meters. Here you experience the unforgettable. Look, enjoy, be amazed, and be awestruck. That's what Tokyo Skytree is all about. Japan's latest landmark, Tokyo Skytree.
Mitsubishi Electric is helping to change the environment for the better around the world.
Green subway systems in India.
Green solar power systems in Singapore.
Sistem AC ramah lingkungan di Indonesia.
Eco changes for a greener tomorrow. Mitsubishi Electric.
For Earth, for life, Kubota.
One day has finished, and one new day has started on somewhere in the world. Kubota supports every moment somewhere out in the world. By the mechanization of agriculture, by the maintenance of water infrastructure, by the latest environmental engineering. we support a prosperous life for humans while protecting the environment of this beautiful Earth. Food, water, and the environment link the world. Kubota.
Because we believe cities are about people. Mori Building.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do this? We make things like this possible through the power of chemistry. We're the Kaiteki Company, Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings.
You're watching Channel Japan. Up next, we bring you an episode from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. Otsuda-san, what's the topic?
Yes, the topic we'll be covering this time is satellites. And first of all, a question. Emi-san, how many active satellites do you think there are circling the Earth right now?
Now, probably, well, I've heard there's a satellite traffic jam in space, maybe 1,000?
1,000, that's quite a lot, I would say, but it's said that there are over 3,500.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
It certainly is. And another question is, how much do you think it costs to make a satellite, and how much time do you think it will take to develop one?
That's a good question. Maybe $50 million, and I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years?
Quite close, maybe, because it does vary. But in the case of the 3-ton lunar orbiter called Kaguya, it cost over $300 million, and it did take 10 years to develop.
It's very time-consuming. It costs a lot of money.
It certainly does. And satellite rocket development in Japan, because of that, has been part of a massive project spearheaded by the government. And aside from major companies and government research institutes, it was a field that most small companies couldn't really enter.
So what company will we be looking at today?
Yes, today it's a company that's proposing the development of compact satellites weighing 100 kilograms or less with limited functions. And they say it'll cost about $3 million and take 1 or 2 years to develop. So it's much more affordable, relatively. Right. And because of the low cost, they say it'll be possible for private companies to own their own satellite.
Sounds quite interesting.
It does, doesn't it? And the president of the company we interviewed says the cost is about the same as buying a helicopter.
Well, I know that many companies own their private helicopters, so it's the same.
Yes. And he believes there's big demand for such low-cost satellites, so let's take a look.
A high-rise in Makuhari, Chiba Prefecture. This is the headquarters of weather information provider Weather News. Here they collect and analyze weather data from around the world for use by various customers.
This monitor shows the ships to which we provide our services.
On the display are numerous symbols. They represent ships of customers, such as container vessels. There are 2,500 in all. Providing them with weather information is one of the company's core businesses. And now, a project initiated 6 years ago is about to be launched commercially.
One of our challenges is to monitor the Arctic Ocean using these small satellites.
They will begin monitoring the Arctic Passage with a compact satellite developed by the company's own engineers. This shows the ice coverage of the Arctic Ocean in 1992. It spreads out across a wide area. But due to global warming, the ice had shrunk significantly by 2012. So now, marine transport companies around the world are setting their sights on the Arctic Passage, connecting Asia and Europe. Until now, the main shipping route connecting Asia to Europe passed through the Indian Ocean and Suez Canal. Navigating the Arctic Passage will cut the distance by 2/3 and significantly reduce costs. But the Arctic Ocean isn't entirely ice-free, even during the summer season. The ability to ascertain the situation can potentially mean big business.
There is always the possibility of ice around the islands. So shipping companies want to have that information.
So Weather News asked a startup to develop a satellite for them. Established in 2008, Axel Space has 13 employees. The president, Yuya Nakamura, studied aerospace engineering at the University of Tokyo Graduate School.
We live in an age when private companies can have their own satellites. It's becoming possible for individual entities to use satellites and space for their specific aims.
In 2012, inside a clean room built in the office, the assembly of an ultra-compact satellite was underway. The size, 30 square centimeters. Various precision devices are carefully put into place.
There are holes here. They are the camera lenses which will take pictures of the Arctic Ocean.
And critical for an ultra-compact satellite is
the satellite structure has been designed to make it as light as possible. We've minimized the number of screws while making sure that the structural strength isn't affected.
As the cost of launching a satellite is based on weight, downsizing is essential. To do that, they rely on the expertise of small workshops. This is a 5mm thin aluminum sheet to be used for the body of the satellite. It's shaved to make it even lighter. This is the finished product. Originally 1 kilogram, the sheet is now just 300 grams.
The weight is completely different. We made it lighter while retaining the necessary strength. We did that by leaving these supports.
He says they've applied techniques cultivated in their work for the aviation and defense industries.
Metals bend when shaved. Understanding how to do that without them bending. That's our know-how.
And this is the ultra-compact satellite completed after 4 years. The price? $2 to $3 million. It is Japan's first commercially developed satellite. The launch date has been finalized. They carefully pack it into a box.
A size that's small enough to easily fit into a box. That's crucial for quick development.
They will actually be sending this to the launch site in Russia using a parcel delivery service. Cutting costs at every single stage is critical. The launch is set for November, in 2 months' time. The satellite business is now expanding in Japan. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, has been inviting the public to submit ideas to turn data collected by satellites into a business. On this day, they announced the top proposals.
If I set up solar panels on my roof, how long before I recoup the cost? A service to accurately calculate the cost benefit.
How much energy is generated by solar panels installed on the roof of a house in the city? The proposed service would use a satellite to determine the exact number of daylight hours to calculate the amount of energy generated. Another idea is to use satellite data to help reduce traffic accidents. The participating companies believe that the business of using satellite data will expand significantly in the future.
There's no doubt that the market will expand in terms of usage, so we want to propose ideas that would demonstrate how convenient our lives will become by using satellite data and infrastructure.
Other companies have launched unique businesses using ultra-compact satellites.
We offer space funeral services.
He takes out a small aluminum case about 1 square centimeter in size.
Customers put in the ashes of their loved ones and send it to us.
About 100 of these cases will be loaded into a satellite of about 10 square centimeters and launched from a site in the United States this summer.
Our space funeral is not about scattering these cases in space. They will circle the Earth for about a year and re-enter the atmosphere as shooting stars.
The cost of this service is about $2,000. And last November, the ultra-compact satellite of Weather News was nearing its launch. The two project leaders are on site. The launch is a success.
This is only the beginning.
But this isn't their final objective. 9 days later at Axel Space headquarters, the first picture from the satellite has arrived.
It's so clear! There's a cloud!
This is the picture. It shows an island in the Pacific Ocean. Rivers and the coastline are clearly visible. The test is more than satisfactory.
I'm so glad the camera works. The images will be used to predict the movement of Arctic ice. So if it works, we've overcome a big hurdle.
Meanwhile, at Weather News, they are continuing to make final adjustments to satellite operations, with plans to officially launch the business in the summer when the Arctic ice begins to melt.
Our customers still only know that the launch was a success and can't really see how they can actually use the satellite. In the future, we want to get them to utilize the service as much as possible.
The business of ultra-compact satellites is opening up new possibilities. The journey into space has only just begun.
It really does seem that this use of space and satellite will become even more widespread from now on. But exactly how big is the aerospace industry globally now?
Yes, I have a graph over here, and it shows the market is growing about 12% annually. And growth has been especially noticeable among emerging economies, and demand, especially for satellites, is forecast to quadruple in the next decade.
Wow, so it's a massive growth industry.
Yes.
Well, what's happening in emerging economies?
Yes, well, developing rockets and satellites from scratch obviously requires a huge investment, even for national governments. And at the same time, though, every country wants access to data collected by satellites to help in monitoring the weather or natural disasters. And so right now, there's a fierce competition among Japan, the US, Europe, Russia, and China and India in the launch market to win business from emerging economies.
I see. So what is Japan doing in this area?
Yes, one country which the Japanese government is working closely with is Vietnam, and they're planning to launch an observation satellite in 2017. And negotiations are continuing on the feasibility of launching the satellite on the JAXA-developed Epsilon rocket.
Well, it's good to hear that a cooperation within Asia is actually spreading into space as well. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so make sure to tune in next week.
Mitsui & Company.
SG Holdings began as a delivery company in Kyoto in 1957. We have grown to provide a wide variety of key business services, including logistical support, all across Japan. Reliability and achievement have defined and distinguished us on the Japanese business scene. With heartfelt bonds that connect us to each and every one of our customers. The passage of time has seen our sphere of operations expand from Japan into Asia and across the globe. We will continue to strive to link up people while supporting businesses worldwide. We will also create new value that contributes to a brighter and more expansive future. We make it our mission to connect people and companies around the world. SG Holdings.
Through its World Heritage educational programs, Panasonic is teaching children the importance of protecting the environment. By supporting the conservation of World Heritage sites and providing environmental education, Panasonic is helping the next generation to achieve a sustainable lifestyle.
Panasonic.
Because we believe cities are about people. Mori Building.
Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.